running 3 miles as fast as possible.
Workout resumed.
Yes, morning jog. It's a science experiment. The data will be collected and a book will be published at the beginning of next year on how to apply scientific principles to your day-to-day life to achieve your goals and not have to argue and fight semantically with people that are belief driven and faith driven and want everything to be about God, and you're not good enough because of God. And how much praying can I do to finish this 3 mile? How much praying and putting it in God's hand can I do to
lap 1. Lap pace 11 minutes 46 seconds.
To not be
1 mile.
Experiencing the physical pain associated with muscle fatigue? How do I push past my muscle fatigue right now without permanently damaging myself? I can finish a 3 mile, but I have 40 more years of life to live. So how do I balance my short-term ambitions with my long-term existence? How much sacrificing am I going to have to do to achieve greatness right now? And there's nothing wrong with the individual person having to deal with this. Everybody has different ability groups. Everybody has different strengths. Everybody has different weaknesses. Knowing who you are is what's important. And like I said, I'm a scientist, and even though I've never went to school for it and I don't have any academic degrees or anything, my highest educational level right now is high school diploma. Even though I'm currently attending Full Sail University, there's absolutely no reason why you can't live your life based on empirical evidence, empirical data, and objective truths. There's no reason why you can't apply an objective truth to govern yourself by. The same way you can govern yourself by the idea of a God, you can govern yourself by the absoluteness of objective truths. Your inability or your ability to accurately understand and comprehend an objective truth and apply that to your life, the same way that people that follow religion and faith apply those principles to their lives, is subjected to the fact that you can't prove that you understand an objective truth any more than they can prove God exists. So my entire life has been based on that. It's been based on me understanding the principles of science and applying my behavior and my confidence to force over distance through time as power. You know, all of the Coulomb's law and Newton's universal law of gravitation, all of those principles have been used by me in my day-to-day life. You know, the average person doesn't recognize that a photon functions at the quantum scale and at the scale as big as a star. Stars are freaking huge. And the principles of light operate at every scale, right? Einstein realized that the microscopic world can be observed directly by light, and that the frequencies of light were sufficiently good enough for us to look at most microscopic processes. But there was a world beyond that, that the photon was too large to observe. But we knew it existed because, you know, alpha and beta radiation. Alpha, beta, and gamma radiation is significantly smaller and operates at a spectrum significantly smaller than the smallest spectrum of light. Scientists use photosensitive paper for their measurements and their predictions of behavior during the quantum age. And they understood that that's how they found ultraviolet light. But they understood that there was a spectrum that existed beyond just the light spectrum, and that these properties, although difficult to see directly, existed indirectly. They understood that an electron beam was pure electrons, and that for some reason, if you excited these electrons enough, they would emit a photon. And they don't really explain this clear enough. But our ability to see an electron beam, the principles that govern a cathode ray tube, implies implicitly that electrons emit photons. Right? If electrons emit photons, what does that actually mean about the electromagnetic and the photonic spectrum? And that's why they unified them. So when you understand that there's not much difference between an electron and a photon, then you have a better understanding of the scientific principles of the world. But the conflict comes in, is like, well, where's your degree? Where's your doctorate? Where's your master's? How did you figure this out? It's like, well, they say it. They explain it and teach it to us. Well, they never said that. But they do say it. They do actually say these things. Just because you change what they're saying to make it more compatible with what you understand doesn't change the objective truths of the reality of the world. Electron microscopes were designed because photonic microscopes couldn't probe small enough. So they started using electrons to see at scales smaller than what you could see with light. And the electron microscope was invented. And even in the electron microscope, there's a spectrum smaller than that. That's why Planck's constant was invented. Because the Planck length is the scale beyond which no instrument can be designed to obtain any amount of information that can be useful in any way, shape, or form by empirical science, right? So, good morning. So, that's the way this works. That's the way science works. And my 2 cents is about taking all this information and figuring out a way to apply it to our everyday lives so that we can be functioning members of society. So we can be the best version of ourselves without having to worry about somebody lying on us and getting our feelings hurt and having to deal with gossip and pettiness. Because once you understand fundamental truths, none of that stuff really matters anymore. Florida is kicking my butt. Okay, I would love to keep chatting, but I have to focus on running. My body is hurt. My body is tired. And I'm currently at a state of actual injury versus muscle fatigue. And
Halfway point reached.
when it comes to working out, you have to be able to figure those two out. And if you can't figure those two out, then you will hurt yourself and you won't be able to achieve your objective. You have to be able to train in a way that's going to help you grow the way you want to grow, which means you have to have a clear understanding of what it is that you're trying to do, which is planning. And you have to have a clear understanding of what that change will look like, right? If you need money to pay your rent and you work more hours at work, then you have to have a clear understanding that you're going to have to work more hours. So when you say, I'm spending way more time at work than I used to, I don't understand. Well, you should understand, because your goal was to earn more money. That's going to come at a sacrifice somewhere else in your life because energy is conserved. So you don't get to be frustrated because you're working more if your goal is to earn more money. Because legally, morality, and ethics imply that you should do something honest to earn more money. And that means working more hours, because you don't have people that will just give you the money you need freely without having to be manipulated and deceived and controlled. Then you have to make that necessary sacrifice. So that's part of planning. And that's what this is all about. The goal is to run 100K at the end of the year. This is the process by which I'm going to scientifically produce the necessary physical evidence and make the necessary moves in my life so that I can actually obtain my objective. And that's pretty much the way my 2% work. Typically, I would be running right now, but I can't. So since I can't run, I'm doing what I should be doing anyways, which is communicating to my channel. So once you get from where you are to where you're trying to go, then you'll be in a much better position in life to achieve the objectives you set for yourself. You just got to be able to make a clear plan, have a realistic objective, and be willing to make the necessary sacrifices to achieve and maintain your goals. And for me, that means running or jogging extremely slow while my legs burn so that I can have this video as documented evidence that I ran. If I say, yeah, I ran 4 miles every 3 days for a year, the first thing people are going to say is, no, you didn't. You didn't run. And I'm like, well, I did run. And then there will be no evidence. And it doesn't matter. But as a peer review, I should have the actual evidence. So if I document myself running, successful or unsuccessful, next year I can say, yeah, I ran 3 miles for science. And then next year I'll have enough evidence that I won't have to defend it anymore. I'll be able to say I used to run statements. Context is important. I used to run 3 miles a day, every 3 days. I used to run 3 to 4 miles. It would be contextual. You know, my goal was to continuously run nonstop for a year, and I wasn't successful with that. Every day for 3 days, continuously for a year. I wanted to maintain that as a standard, and I wasn't able to do that. And I had to make a decision. Did I want to fake the evidence and alter the data, which is unethical, immoral, and illegal? Or do I want to accept the fact that I was not able to achieve my objective so that we can learn how to properly function and govern ourselves and not give up on the overall goal of running 100K? Because there's probably a high probability at the age of 42 that I'm not going to be successful with running 100K. Doesn't change the fact that the energy and effort put into it is not a waste of time and is relevant in of itself. Sometimes living your life is just that. You're living your life. You're doing the things that you want to do with your time and with your life, so that you can be the person that you're actively being in the present. Because sitting around and moping about what you want and don't want, you're not achieving anything. So in the Army, they said that you miss every shot you don't take. So with that being said, if you're at the range and you gotta hit the targets and get a score, and you never fire your weapon, you get a 0. And if you fire your weapon and you miss every round you've shot, guess what? You scored higher than the person that didn't shoot at all. So you are not at the bottom. The person that never fired a single round scored a 0. And you firing all your rounds and missing every target, you scored something higher than 0, but less than 1. So that's just the way numbers work. There's an infinite amount of numbers between 0 and 1, and they're all decimals, and they're all relevant, and they all exist. The only value that doesn't actually exist empirically is 0. So that's how life works. And I could keep ranting and raving, but I really got to get this run going. So as always, my name is Paul Emerson, and I'm currently giving you my 2 cents.
Lap 2. Lap pace 17 minutes 27 seconds. Total 27 minutes 6 seconds. 2 miles. Workout
As
paused.
always, my name is Paul Emerson, and I've given you my 2 cents.